We're in nearly mid-August, spider time of year we're rapidly heading towards, and half an hour ago I had a walk down the street into our local town centre, and looking idly on the walls for any unsuspecting invertebrate that happened to be decorating those walls, I happened across a spider, and I brought that spider back home. In fact, I had to come back and get a container and then go back down the street to collect said spider. There's two reasons. First reason is that the public generally hate spiders and are prone to killing them underfoot given the chance. Second reason that I've collected it and brought it back is because it's one of these, a noble false widow. Harmless enough, even more harmless when the general public are completely unaware that they are surrounded and probably have at least one of these somewhere on the exterior of their properties. This is the main reason that I've brought it back, because if someone saw it and happened to know what it was, it would be gone underfoot rather than temporarily in this container. I don't mind having false widows around the home, and nobody else should do, because you already have them, certainly in the southern half of the UK, because this spider has gone great guns over the last sort of 10-20 years. It's now everywhere in Nottinghamshire. So all the garden centres that I visited in Nottinghamshire, and garden centres may well be one of the reasons why this spider has spread north at the rapid rate that it has. The other reason is probably builders merchants and building materials. They allow species like spiders and moths and harvestmen and beetles to get around the country in a relatively easy fashion. There's no running or walking involved, or flying in a lot of instances. They just simply get a lift on a lorry, and that's how this spider ended up in Nottinghamshire a number of years ago. And this is the noble false widow, Steatoda nobilis. By no means is this a small spider. The arrival of this species into Nottinghamshire happened a number of years ago now, about a decade ago, and ever since then this has been an easy spider to find. Look on the walls of most buildings, certainly garden centres, and you'll see this spider, or at least the web of this spider. And the webs are easy to determine of this species because the silk is especially strong. It'll be stronger than any other spider silk that you've maybe accidentally felt or run your fingers through. This is a very strong silk webbing species. As the spiders mature, the markings gradually decline and become almost obscured and fade as the spider gets older. Younger individuals are incredibly well marked and beautifully marked too, although all of the markings are on the abdomen. The legs, when the spider is young, are very annulated, but with age and successive molts this becomes a very dark, almost dark mahogany brown species. It's a handsome spider, and one that avoids people. It likes the constructions that people build because they contain the nooks and crannies that this species needs in order to make a silken retreat. You won't see this spider out on the web unless you go out on a night time. But what a beauty! They're long-lived spiders. I've had one female that's gone right through the winter a number of years ago that made a home under the windowsill. I've had successive females that have turned up, and while I've been moth trapping here in the garden, I have seen males on the walls and indeed run along the paving slabs. But you can see now how beautifully marked that abdomen is. For a spider this size, to be honest, this is one of the better marked spiders that I've seen. Got that sort of mark dorsally, and then there's creamy stripes around the sides of the abdomen laterally. It's a very handsome spider. Every time I see one of these, it always reminds me of those fantasy-like newspaper and tabloid newspaper stories. I woke up in bed on the night time with a searing pain, pulled back the covers and saw a tiny spider running away. I knew then instantly I'd been bitten by the noble false widow. No, you didn't, and no, you weren't, because actual proven bites by this spider in the UK are very, very few. Spiders are notoriously difficult to identify, even by experts in arachnology, let alone members of the public who, to be honest, couldn't tell a badger from a ladybird, to be quite honest, and they certainly couldn't identify noble false widow. The public often have a misconception that because of, through those such stories, that the noble false widow is a small spider. It isn't. This one is a young female and certainly has at least one more molt to go, and already she's larger, or has a leg span larger than a UK 50p piece. These aren't small spiders by any means, and they don't go looking for trouble. It would take a lot of mucking about with and tempting for one of these to even consider biting you. You would have to roughly handle it maybe one too many times. They tend to run away.